welcome back. This is By the Book, and we're your married relationship coaches. I'm Sent.
I'm Sid.
And today, first of all, let me apologize for my voice. I'm a little bit under the weather, so forgive my voice. But we're going to move right on through it and talk about Love is Blind, Season 6. We're talking about the reunion show.
Yeah.
I will say this about the reunion show. I like, and you guys, if you follow us at all, you know we cover both Married at First Sight and Love is Blind, and seeing the success, the relative success of the couples in the show, having them bring back couples who have obviously not just, spent a couple of months together and then divorce, but actually seeing the couple succeed, have families. I'm impressed by Love is Blind. And although it seems to be the lower budget show between the two, I think that they have a better recipe. Maybe we can talk about that, the differences and the contrast of those on a different video. Yeah. But nonetheless, it was good to see some of the returning couples come back. There were some surprises in this show. So I'm going to start a little bit out of order and just jump to, was it Jeremy?
Jeremy and Sarah?
No. The big guy I call the musclehead.
Trevor.
I'm sorry, Trevor. But, Yeah, what is up with this dude?
I couldn't figure it out. He looked like he was having a nervous breakdown. It was kind of hard to watch.
He did. And the thing was, I guess why I say it's a surprise, guys, and you let me know. You guys might know, have a little bit more insight on these people than we do. But he didn't seem like a jerk in the pods. Like, he seemed like he was very keyed in on Chelsea. And it was going to be her. It was going to be no one else. We didn't see a love triangle. We didn't see him really spinning any lies to any of the other women. He didn't seem to have a bad relationship with the fellas in the group. So I didn't read him to be any type of peculiar, or I didn't get a negative vibe from him. Like, let's say we might have gotten from Matthew.
Yeah.
Right? So to see him come on the reunion show and be called to the carpet on having had darn near a fiance when he started the show, messaging her both before and after with these love messages, and his agenda is just wild to me. Did he come on the show to blow up his popularity? I don't even know what he does. I don't know how it could have furthered his career or anything like that. But I don't see his angle. If you guys get it, let me know. But he came on maybe trying to gain some internet popularity or something like that. And if I get to hook up with somebody along the way, so be it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't vibe with his personality. You expect a playboy. If that was Clay's angle, I would get it. But Matthew seems like, forgive me for saying so, but just watching him on this show, he looked like a dope. So I'm like, hey, what did you think you were gonna do?
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Trevor did not seem like the type of playboy that you see coming. He's the type of playboy you don't see coming, or should I say the liar that you don't see coming. He's able to present very well as far as he looks very genuine. And the words that he's saying, and especially in the pods, he looked very genuine. He seemed very attentive, and he was able to listen and regurgitate information right back out, to Chelsea and everything. And so but we know now that as he was in the pods, all of that was kind of bullcrap.
Yeah,
absolutely. He was just playing a role. And that's the type of guy I think a lot of women fall prey to, because you think you have a nice guy, but all the while, this is just a wolf in sheep's clothing.
He is, but it's like he's not smooth enough I guess is what I'm trying to say, to even pull off this type of behavior.
Yeah.
And you see that because when they ask him about it, he's like,
Because he was busted.
I have seen people
receipts.
weasel out of stuff way better.
He knew he was busted. He didn't have a response. They had receipts on the man and stuck it up on a big screen right behind him. What can you do? Especially if he didn't even know that they had those receipts. And they probably just sprung it out on him at the last second. I bet you saw how doofusly he walked out on that stage.
And that was the thing. It was an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment to Playboys all across the nation.
Yeah.
That was the worst. Can I just leave now?
He just fell apart.
I wouldn't even ask permission to leave. Just get up and go.
Get up and walk off.
Right.
Yeah. And he attempted to fall on his sword. He tried very hard. But even that was kind of like, dude, well, I need therapy. I'm pretty toxic. He was trying to throw out just about anything that he could say so they can stop stabbing him. But, no, dude, you need to get stabbed. You deserve to get stabbed.
Yeah.
So
they need to do better screening of some of these people. Because that was awful. It was surprising to me. I was disappointed in him. And I'm very glad that he wasn't selected by somebody to have taken them through the BS that he would have had to have taken them through. So.
I agree. But one last thing I want to say about him is coming from the man standpoint, they do need to do some better screening. They really do. I mean, because these guys that they picking, they making us look bad, y'all. So, I mean, come on. Let's get some guys who are serious about what they're signing up for.
Yeah.
They're going into a pod to find a wife. You're going into a pod to find a wife. And if you're not ready for that, if you're here to play games, if you're here to get your 10 seconds of fame, then they need a screening process to be able to find out who these people are.
And that's going to be hard to do. And nonetheless, even though they don't have that screening process, it doesn't seem like they vet these people as much as theoretically Married at First Sight does.
They're worse.
They still do a better job.
Yeah.
And we can talk about why in a different video, but they still do a better job. So we can jump right on into another guy that's not worth too much, and that is Jeramy. Jeramy and Sarah Ann looking really bad. Really, really bad. I do feel a little bit bad for Sarah Ann, but she brought it on herself. You know, she sent the text message.
Yes.
The infamous text message that she probably shouldn't have sent to an engaged man. She made herself look bad. I am in total agreement when Laura says that Sarah Ann is not the person who owed her something, but Jeramy did. Yes. Nonetheless, as a woman, respect is an important part.
Yeah.
Respecting other people's relationship is an important part of you being a respectable woman. And she did not do that. She did not offer them the respect and the space that they deserved. She could have waited, and this man would have come to her, and she would have been in the clear. So in her feeling like she had to shoot her shot one last time, she's brought the heat on herself. To add to that ridiculous video, I don't know what it is with this generation of people. Is this still Gen the millennials, or is this alpha generation? I don't know which one we're dealing with. Y'all gotta forgive me. But they're not so smart for having to have grown up in this internet era.
Yeah.
Right? If you grow up in the internet era, you think that you realize everything that you say is going to have a receipt to it. So in her creating this video where she's like, we're here to entertain you and we didn't miss, like, shut up. You know, don't put yourself out there to look like you're here just for entertainment and to get on the internet and to be famous in some way if that's not what you want out there. 101 of everything. Like, I mean, what is happening? And she's trying to backtrack on it. The receipts, like you just said, the receipts are here on the big screen. So
They made her look bad.
She made herself
look
look bad.
Yeah.
Not only did you try to steal this woman's man from underneath her, now this is what you look like,
Yes.
but you're also looking like you came here with an ulterior motive to become internet famous and entertain people, spoil the secret of the show by picturing yourself in Jeremy's apartment. You knew what you were doing. You cannot sit here and tell me that you didn't know that people would pick up on this. Well, I didn't know that people become detectives. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah, like, no, you can't convince me. At, what is she, 20-something years old? You can't convince me that you don't know what people do with the internet.
Yeah, and like you said, who have grown up in this age.
Right, exactly. Well, no internet when I was a teenager, so I don't know. Yeah. Well, yes, it was, but everybody didn't have it. Let me not go so far, but it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah,
I'll put it like that. So,
I don't have much to say about that whole love triangle thing. You know, the women especially really did give both of them, but especially Sarah Ann, some business. My question was, I really, and we don't have to talk about it because I know it'd be kind of convoluted, you know, with this, but from previous season, when old girl that was kind of like, that was with Marshall, and she kind of like flipped to the other guy in the middle of the season and all that stuff, they really didn't give her the business the way they did.
The girls on the show?
Yes, they really didn't do, they like, hey,
you're right. This may be a little bit convoluted. We'll have to talk about that in the sidebar.
It is.
But, I mean, I just think that everyone could put themselves in Laura's shoes and say, how would I feel if there was a semi-love triangle type thing in the pods? The man selected me, and then here his secondary interest is messaging him like, y'all doing okay? Yeah, you want to talk to me? And you want to meet me? You know, that just sounds like disrespect.
Yeah.
And I think everybody on that stage, everybody who's been a participant on that show, understands that they would feel disrespected and very uncomfortable.
I got you.
If somebody did something like that. So, yeah, we don't like that. We're gonna mean girl you out of this group because you're not, as they call it, a girl's girl.
Not a girl's girl. Yeah.
So
I got you. But yeah, you're right. You know, there's a way to do things, and the way they went about doing it, no, absolutely not. Very disrespectful.
Yeah, well, she was, and I wish that Jeramy even got more heat than what he got on the show because, of course, like we said, he's the one who owed a lot more to Laura.
True.
He didn't have to stay with her. He didn't have to like her, but he did need to respect her.
Yeah.
He did need to be honest with her if he was having doubts or second guesses. And hearing her say, you know, my 96-year-old grandmother had tickets to my wedding or flight or whatever it was to her wedding is really sad because that is real. You know, and she's sitting here saying, this is my real life. You know, you're talking about an opportunity that may not present itself again.
True.
She's literally talking about someone in their 90s.
Yeah.
So it is sad when you look at it in that very real perspective that she felt manipulated and played with and disrespected. And I hate that for her. You know, I hope that she's doing well and that her grandma gets to come to her wedding for real in real life whenever she has one. Yeah. But, you know, it just... you can do nothing but empathize with her for having experienced that and look at Jeremy like trash. Yeah. Then also, you know, I think the guys know, the girls know what type of person Jeremy is. I wasn't surprised that he kind of threw some shade at Jimmy. Him not wanting to be the bad guy, happy that Jimmy looked bad for once. You know, like, dude, what kind of guy are you? Honestly, the more I hear about them, the more it's like, okay, y'all are perfect for each other. Yeah. You and Sarah Ann stay, keep each other away from the rest of the population.
But they're not.
Keep two toxic people out of the circle, out of the pool. You know what I'm saying? Y'all keep each other occupied while everybody else can deal with better people.
They're not. I mean, they're already having problems by their own admission, on and off again, and you reap what you sow. Generally, how a relationship starts, it's going to end the same way. So someone else is going to be the new Sarah and it's going to be over eventually. And so, but again, you know, we have another guy who is bad at cheating, but he tries. You got
I
you
mean,
got your Trevor, and then you have your Jeremy. I'm trying to cheat. I'm trying to be a cheat, but I'm just a dumb cheat. I don't know what I'm doing, and then when I get caught, I don't even know how to finagle my way through it. You know what I mean? So here's this nut. He's sending location bings and all that stuff. So
not beings though.
pings and stuff. So I was like, come on,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah. So that was the interesting drama. It felt like they spent an unreasonable amount of time talking about Jeremy and Sarah Ann.
They did.
To me, I was like, "Is this that for Ann?"
They did. They went on and on
Yeah.
and on. So it wasn't as interesting to me for them to continue it.
Yeah, I mean, it was funny. It was drama filled, but it was like, okay, they've gotten enough coverage. Honestly, at this point, I definitely wanted to see what was going to be said between AD and Clay. How did you feel about Clay's position? Feeling like he had perhaps made a mistake. Just him in general. What's your vibe on Clay?
I think, like I said before, Clay gave off Playboy vibes. Not only Playboy vibes, he gave off a lot of red flags that AD ignored. And if we could see it, watching it from at home, and we're not living with this guy and talking with him, obviously she saw some of the stuff and she chose not to see it and follow up or disengage when she saw these type of things, and she followed through. So what I really think is, I'm disappointed in her that she continued with it, and I'm angry at him for being so stupid.
Wait, just so I'm clear, because we've been talking about the reunion show. Are you saying you're disappointed with him for going through with the relationship?
No, I'm angry with him for what he did.
For
the altar.
Okay.
Not letting her know that hey, I'm not gonna say yes and all of this stuff. And yes, he basically blindsided this woman right up there, as she thought he's about to say yes, not. So I'm angry with how he did the thing.
I wish that he had done the Jimmy. I wish that he had broken it off with her a day or two before and not allowed her to be devastated by that. I think it would have, if he wanted any chance, as he's indicating he does in the reunion show, I think it would bode better for their relationship going forward if he had given her the heads up prior to them going to the altar. Even if they went to the altar and they allowed her to say yes or no first, and then she could say no.
Yeah.
Or they said, let him say no.
Yeah.
And then she could say, I was going to say no
as
well, but not to be humiliated, and for her to have said yes, only to have him turn around and say no. Like, that is very unfortunate.
Yeah.
That's hard to get over. And even though in this reunion show, she seemed kind of flaky as to whether or not she would date him again,
because she still loves this dude.
I know, but it's been a long time, right? This reunion show is about a year after the show airs, and I'll be disappointed if she allows him back in. And I think it will be more difficult for her to allow him back in because the trust there is problematic. If somebody's going to let you hang out there to dry at the altar, what can you expect from them?
Well, there's a soul tie, as well. I know some people believe in soul ties, and some people don't. I'm one of the ones who do. And like, when you begin to engage in a physical relationship with someone over a period of time, and those feelings develop and all of those type of things, she's connected, kind of like still to him, and you can tell how she looked at him on stage. She's still kind of connected. She's still kind of pining for this guy, and it's kind of sad, just to kind of like see her kind of like go through the steps of hopefully recovery, because she knows that, like she said, hey, you had your chance. I'm not going back. And I really, really hope that she holds on to her guns and her position on that, because if she does go back to him, it's going to be worse.
Well, right, because he knows what he can get away with.
Yes, I can embarrass you on national
how
TV.
Hooked she is
yes.
on him. And even if for a temporary amount of time he has good intentions, I think he will revert back to that knowing, like, the balance in this relationship is off.
Yes.
Like, I have the leverage.
Yes.
And it's not going to work that way.
Exactly.
Not with somebody like Clay. It's not going to work out well for them.
Yes.
And furthermore, I mean, how do you go from being engaged to take a step back and be unengaged and date from that point forward?
Which is what he was proposing in the first
place.
Right,
he was proposing that. However, like I said, if you wanted to move backwards like that, it needed to happen not by a no at the altar. It needed to happen by a conversation, a well talked about, a well sat down and thought out conversation that you had with somebody where you both have an opportunity to express your feelings and your expectations going forward, rather than the rug to be snatched from underneath at the altar.
And then, again, here you have a guy going on this show, knowing what this show, the premise of this show is to go into a pod and find yourself a wife. All of a sudden now, oh, I'm not ready to have a wife. I'm not ready to be a husband. You knew that. You knew that, just like Trevor knew that. You knew that just like Jeremy knew that. You knew that just like every other man. But they go on the show and they play. Stop playing.
So here's one thing I want to think about, and you guys let us know what you think about this, because I think this could be part of the problem. I think that for the sake of this show, the producers or whomever is responsible for placement or recruiting or whatever, they find people on maybe dating websites, maybe just social media. I'm not really sure what platforms they use, but I think that they're finding people and propositioning them to come on to the show. Okay? So if that's what's happening and people aren't seeking out the show to get on it, then you are going to get a pool of people who may not be ready for marriage, but they like the proposition. They like the idea, hey, you know, I got approached on, I don't know, Tinder or Plenty of Food, whatever the sites are that they have, and you know, it was a producer. It wasn't a link up. It was a producer from Love Is Blind saying, hey, you look like, you know, you have a good profile to be placed onto this show. Are you open to it? Yeah, you know, I'm a young person. I think I'm attractive. I get some 15 minutes of fame, so to speak, and all I have to do, I mean, I've been dating anyway. I might as well, you know, date in these pods and see what happens. But these people aren't saying, they're not putting out there that they're ready for marriage. And if that's what's happening, if that's how they're being recruited, that's what you are going to get. You're going to get people who want dates, but they're not ready to be married. And if they put themselves through the whole process and they propose to somebody, it's just to further themselves along in the show. And then when they get to the altar, they're like, heck no, I ain't about to marry this person. So, and I think that could be a very viable possibility about what's happening for these people.
Two other things about Clay. I really thought that they were gonna, you know, jump him, just like they were gonna, you know, they jump, you know, Trevor, and they jump Jeremy, and so on and so on. I really thought they were gonna give him the business, but they didn't. You know, I was really surprised
because he was contrite. He was sorry about how things went. He didn't have any kind of attitude or chip on his shoulder. He certainly wasn't the worst guy on that stage. He wasn't Jeremy. He wasn't the muscle head guy.
Trevor.
He wasn't Trevor. I cannot keep his name in my head. He wasn't any of those people. So, you know, he stayed above the fray in that sense. You know, he spoke highly of. So, I mean, Clay, he just came off all the way around as a better guy than some of the guys from this season and some of the guys on that stage. So I think that kept him like a little bit out of the fray. And his apologetic nature in terms of how he treated AD and how the process went, etc. I think that just kept him out of it. I'm not too surprised, just given how he came off, that he didn't catch a lot of heat.
Okay, he did. He did fall on his sword. I did.
Yeah.
I get it, but falling on your sword and then leaving this girl at the altar like that, you deserve to get kind of drugged a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And they
But
they
here's
refrained.
the thing.
They let him off.
Could they drag him any more than AD was willing to drag him because she wasn't dragging him?
Yeah, that's true too.
You know,
Yeah,
she
that's
still
true
was interested. You could tell.
Yeah.
So if she's still interested, like, what can we say? It's
Yeah.
like, all right.
Yeah. And then the other thing, it wasn't, as far as AD is concerned, you know, and I'm not sure how you feel about this because we didn't discuss this, but when I hear a woman kind of like began to, you know, use language that men say a lot of times, I think to myself right off, like, ooh, you kind of like have taken the bait, you
For
know,
instance,
so to speak. Like when she began to talk about and say, I don't, you know, as far as sex and you know, before marriage, and like I comparing it to driving a car or test driving a car, you know, things of that sort. You know, like I don't buy a car without test driving it. When I hear women, that's more or less something a man would say. And when I began to hear women kind of use the same language as men, I kind of think like, you kind of, what can I say? Let me say it like this. If you're using the same language that men are using, and then you got left at the altar, you know what I'm saying? So in other words, he test drove you, and he decided not to take you.
Yeah, but it wasn't
altar.
because of that. I don't know, babe. I feel like you're venturing off into some dangerous territory here.
It is what it is.
Women are progressive. Women are sexually progressive in this day and age, and I feel like a lot of women, independent of how men think, feel that way. They want to test drive just like men want to test drive.
All right.
And just because her relationship with Clay was unsuccessful, apologies for the little one.
Yeah.
Just because her relationship with Clay wasn't successful, I don't feel like that's going to change her approach with any other man, you know, in that regard, you know.
Well, how do they say, you know, if you do the same thing over and over again and you expect,
but it's not just
results?
because of it's not just because of the sex. It's
okay.
the man. It's the man she chose.
All right. Well, how about this? There was Ken on there with his fiance, and they didn't work. Right?
They didn't work either, and there was no sex.
There was no sex. So, you know, getting to the altar and having the relationship, the marriage after it, yeah, that's a goal. But who was more hurt on the stage? Was it the Ken's ex-fiance, or was it Clay's ex-fiance?
Again, I don't know.
Okay, well, I think we know.
I think we know
who was hurt
think
more.
that it's linked to sex. Y'all help me out here.
Right,
My goodness.
Okay.
But, you know,
I saw AD
y'all know that
devastated.
Sal has old school values, and we can appreciate him for those. Nothing wrong with it, but a lot of women, young and old, have more progressive view about sexual activity than.
Just because it's progressive don't mean that it's right.
I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong.
It doesn't mean that it's successful either.
But it doesn't mean that the other way is successful.
Again,
because
both of them did not get married, but I can objectively see that there is one really devastated woman sitting on that stage, and that was one that was less devastated. Matter of fact, she was like, "Oh yeah, we're fine, we're friends, we can talk to each other, it's all good."
I think
AD
that
was not in that same mind
you don't
frame.
think that she still communicates with him?
Not like, I don't know, talking about they talk to each other every day or every other day. No, I don't.
I don't know, but I do feel like, I'll just leave you with this. Sex is not the only difference between those two couples. There's worlds of differences for various different reasons between those two couples. And so I don't feel like if Ken and Brittany have a better relationship, I do not feel like it's solely because they didn't engage in sex. I'll just say that you guys can let us know where you fall on that spectrum. Maybe I'm wrong.
Mhm.
I don't think so, but of course I don't think so because that's my opinion. So you guys let us know yours.
Yeah,
I think
he agreed with
Baby
me.
Boy has an opinion. You think he does?
I know he did.
Please, guys, drop those comments below. Let us know your thoughts on the whole entire episode. We might drop back in and talk a little bit more specifically about Ken and Brittany and some other stuff. So stay tuned. Drop the comments, like, share, subscribe, and we will talk to you all soon.
Bye.